Are you able to see my screen?
Still not yet, ma'am. Yeah, now it's visible.
Fine, sir. In case if there is any interruption, you please let me know in the internet connectivity. If there is any interruption, please let me know by
Sure, ma'am.
unmuting the mic. Fine.
Okay, ma'am. Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So good morning, one and all. I'm glad
Shashi
to
sir,
meet you.
are you there?
Yes.
Hello, Shashi?
Hello, sir. Tell me, sir.
Hello, sir, Shashi.
Yeah, tell me, sir. It's audible only.
Hello.
Yeah, someone is having some queries.
Yeah.
Is there any queries, sir?
No, ma'am. You can start, ma'am.
You can start.
Fine, sir. Fine.
Yeah.
So I thank Mr. Shashikiran for giving a brief introduction about my research area. And I thank Nagarjuna College for inviting me for this faculty development program to give some insights about the applications of LabVIEW. And I thank Dr. Rohit for communicating with me and making this event, this presentation possible here. And so let us get into the topic. I think you have been seeing about the applications of LabVIEW for the past 6 days. And I'm really glad to introduce the Internet of Things based on LabVIEW to the faculty, to the August faculty members present here, because I always believe the faculty members are the supply chain of the academics. So really, I'm very glad to introduce this concept because it is the current, as we all know, this is the currently upcoming topic. And one thing what I wanted to tell you before starting the session is, in a single session, either I cannot teach you about LabVIEW or you also cannot learn about LabVIEW, because when we learn, as we know, when we learn a software, we need to have hands-on sessions. Probably, I hope you might have had the hands-on sessions earlier, the other sessions of the FDP. But still, unless we start working on it, we cannot realize the complete crux of the concepts behind that one. So what I'm going to do in this session is I'll introduce to you about industrial Internet of Things in different dimensions and the options available in LabVIEW to implement or to incorporate the concepts of industrial Internet of Things. So as we know, LabVIEW is nothing but laboratory virtual instrumentation engineering workbench, and it is used by a lot of researchers for so far test, measurement, and control applications. And we know it is one of the best platforms for having software and hardware integration. So it has a lot of features for those things. And how this particular LabVIEW platform is suitable for, if you want to discuss about how this particular LabVIEW platform is suitable for industrial Internet of Things. I don't know whether how many of you here know about, have a broad exposure into the industrial IIoT. But still, for clear understanding about the topic, first let us discuss about the concepts behind IIoT. And with your previous knowledge or with your currently learning knowledge of LabVIEW, you yourself would be able to relate. Knowing the concepts of IIoT, you will be able to relate concepts of IIoT as well as LabVIEW. You would be able to correlate how LabVIEW could be applied for IIoT. So when we talk about industrial Internet of Things, to come from the first, this industrial internet is the term that is coined by General Electric. So that is being carried out in that particular phrase is being carried out in the term industrial Internet of Things. Of course, lot of industries have started applying this one, and different industries coin this particular concept in different names. So Cisco calls it as Internet of Everything. So there is no different. Slowly, many other industries started calling it as Internet 4.0. And though the terms may be different, but conceptually everything comes under the same umbrella. Since it is evolving, we are trying to give it a good shape with different dimensions. So what is IIoT? So what you can see from here, of course, what you can see from here is a hand grinding mill, which was used in the earlier centuries. And to achieve this application, later due to the developments with the application of the intelligence, we got the same hand pounding machine with a motor that is being attached. So there is a form of mechanization with devices. Instead of having human efforts, so there is a form of mechanization. So this is a single unit. When we want to develop in a scalable range, then the single unit, again with the application of intelligence, it became as a large unit, where you can have more automation for supply chain, raw materials, and you can have more automation for production, for control, quality check. So all these became as an integrated application with automation, industrial automation. So we know we have processes, we have PLCs, and we have different kinds of actuators, sensors to measure the products, measure the physical variables involved there, and to have control over there. So we had a lot of automation. We had automation coming into the picture. And this is how we can say, whatever I have shown you as a simple example, this is how we can say the industrial evolution. So the evolution started with the mechanization, and again it went to the third phase. Started with the mechanization in 18th and 19th century, and it went to the third phase with the application of electronics for autonomous production, where we had a lot of technologies coming into the industries. And now we are into the system of cyber physical industrial revolution for Industry 4.0, where in addition to automation applications, you will have a lot of analytics in addition to the control and automation applications that were implemented earlier in industries. You will have the devices connected with a lot of attributes related to cyber physical systems. I mean, cyber, we know, cyber is nothing but it is involving the computation, it is a computerized system. So the computerized system that were used in industrial automation in the third revolution, automation and control in the third revolution, is getting into the next phase of industry 4.0, in which industrial IIoT is a major part. So in the fourth revolution, we have the same cyber physical systems which are being connected with, which are being added with the features of lot of analytics features using AI, using artificial intelligence techniques. So we need to have the other IT technologies are coming. It is not only the core concepts that is getting at a shorter level, but it is coming into a broader level with the other IT technologies coming into this. So the phases of revolution, as I said, in the 18th century, it was with mechanical. And in the end of 19th century, there was a mass production with examples of electricity and other things, assembly line. And in the 20th century, we had cyber physical systems, mainframe computing, personal computing, everything came. And next, with the application, with the extension of the internet to this, we are introducing a lot of AI techniques into the assets, whatever we have. So we can comprehensively say this is the timeline of industrial revolution. So as I think this is the concerns why I explained about this one in the last phase itself, because this is 2 series. So this is nothing but your cyber physical system, which is capable of computing, communication, and control, which is already existing. So basically, how we can say the industrial IoT as, we have operational technology, we have OT assets, which are nothing but equipments or any kind of devices, machines that are used in industries. Already they have some kind of cyber concepts into it for automation and control, but it is not necessary that they are always connected. So the current trend is moving with the incorporation of IT-based technologies into the devices, so that there is a digital transformation of the existing factory floor as an IT-based factory floor. Why it is being done is with the objective of saving the time and having more productivity and to have better maintenance. So this convergence of OT and IT constitutes the framework, constitutes the foundation for IIoT. So this is possible, whatever I have told, the application of IT on OT, operation technology. Why it is being done is to, as I said, to save a time and also to improve the productivity and to have better maintenance. How it is possible? It is possible only if we start monitoring the systems and only if we start understanding the behavior of the systems. How to understand the behavior of the system, how to predict the behavior of the system, how to monitor the system. So those things, in order to achieve those things, the availability of technologies based on AI, artificial intelligence, and also the availability of IT technologies that is related to big data and cloud-based big data analytics or cloud-based analytics. So this is what is the introduction about IIoT. So for IIoT, we have operational assets, and to that operational assets, the concepts of IT are incorporated into that. So when we are incorporating the concept of ITs, in what dimension it is being incorporated is to use AI technologies as well as to use the infrastructure of big data analytics and cloud infrastructure. So whatever we have been talking about is industrial Internet of Things. So these are the objective of industrial Internet of Things. But from where it emerges, so this concept of industrial Internet of Things has emerged from Internet of Things. So basically how Internet of Things is defined, the concept of Internet of Things is defined as, it is the network of physical objects. So whatever the operational assets that are present, generally in the IoT, how IoT is defined as, it is a network of physical objects. How the physical objects are capable of getting networked with each other. So we need to have a cyber system into that. So the cyber system should be able to communicate. What it has to communicate, it has to sense something and it has to communicate its status to the external environment for further control. So this is a general concept, IoT. So this is not related to any particular industrial object, but any physical object. So any physical object which is capable of getting networked into the external environment, rather than having an autonomous or indigenous automation and control, the particular thing should have the capability to get networked with the external environment so that it can transfer its characteristics to the external environment, means here the internet. So this is what Gartner defines, because there are a lot of definitions for IoT. So Gartner defines like this. So we need to have embedded technology into that. So So Oxford, how so basically with as we had a lot of terminologies for IIoT in terms of Internet of Everything, IIoT, Industry 4.0. Slowly, there has been a general definition that is being placed in Oxford Dictionary also for IoT like this. It is interconnection via Internet of Computing. So the devices are getting networked with each other, not in a local area, but it is in wide area. In wide area also, it is using the backbone of Internet, so that there could be some data exchange between the devices. So there are various ways of defining IoT. So if we have to implement this IoT technology, so what is the technology stack is, if you have the devices here, let us say, so this is what is your IoT stack. IoT technology stack. Any IoT in communication that you see, that will be based on this IoT technology stack. So you will have a lot of devices, any device. So you might have seen the smartwatch is also a physical device. All these are all devices, right? So this device should be able to communicate with the external environment over internet. So first of all, this device should be enabled with the network connectivity. So that network connectivity is made possible with the gateway. So gateway, as you know, as we all know, what the purpose of gateway. Gateway is the one which is capable of connecting the device at the physical device, at the physical layer, to the network layer, or to the internet. Well, in a simple term, we can say that like that. So the data from these devices pass to the IoT platform through the gateway, and why we are passing into the IoT platform is to do a lot of analytics. So we have a lot of IoT platforms that enable the device to get connected with them. So in the IoT platform, you will have the infrastructure, backbone infrastructure to store the data, and where you can develop the applications. So develop the applications for getting more insights about this particular device. So let us say like you have smartwatch and you have smartwatch, a wearable device. So you are someone who is wearing this device the data of that particular person will be transferred to the other end. It could be a hospital or it could be a personal home for understanding the current status of the person who is wearing. It could be for healthcare, or it could be for some kind of security purpose. Something could be like that, smart home, all these things. Like if you wear a lot of devices, and from the device you would be able to control the security of the access of the home. So just to tell an example, I'm telling. So if LabVIEW is used for IoT or IIoT, then from this technology stack, what one should be able to understand is the LabVIEW should have the features to collect the data from the devices at the edge side, right? And also the LabVIEW should have the features to develop applications or to connect with the applications that is developed in the cloud. So there should be the connectivity between the physical layer and the application layer. So does LabVIEW has those features? When you are learning LabVIEW, and if you want to use LabVIEW for IIoT, then one has to ensure what are the features that are available in LabVIEW, so that LabVIEW would be able, so that by using the LabVIEW application, the devices at the edge side would be connected to the internet, and also what are the features that are available to develop either the LabVIEW application in the cloud side, or to connect the LabVIEW application in the edge side to some other third-party application that is present in the cloud or present in the IoT platform. So first, this aspect one should make clear. This is the general IoT technology stack I'm speaking about. So as you know, definitely we might have come across, we are coming across a lot of IoT device. So I told you two terms. One is IoT and another is industrial IoT. So what makes the differentiation between these two? When we are learning as a new learner, when we do novice learning, then we shouldn't. There should not be any like any confusion in these two terms. Are they both similar? Because these terms are used interchangeably everywhere. So what makes the difference between is there any differentiation between IoT and IIoT? So how to differentiate is, we have to go to the strategies by which the IoT and IIoT are classified. When you talk about strategies, this is the vertical strategy that is being adopted since we are only evolving the standards. So this is the vertical strategy that is present currently. So if you see here, all these things fall on the common concept of Internet of Things. In the Internet of Things, this is the horizontal strategy because this is common for all these vertical concepts. So here, this concept of Internet of Things comes for enterprise, comes for commercial, it's applicable for consumer, and it comes for the industrial. So in this vertical strategy, if you want to know, if you want to differentiate, if you want to know specifically what is an industrial IoT, then you have to be aware of the other segments, the enterprise, a commercial, consumer, and the industrial, other segments like these three. So how these three segments are getting differentiated? The first thing is the target audience. So the first point which differentiates, because these are all the technologies that are developed in engineering, and in engineering is only for some kind of particular application. So it depends on the target audience for whom we are going to develop that application, how it is going to be beneficial for them and how to implement it. So the target audience, who is the target audience, and what are the different technical strategies that are implemented there to execute the particular application in that particular target audience. So if we see that, when you come to this consumer IoT, what is called as consumer IoT, the target audiences are the consumer market. So here they have an example. If you want to see, if I want to say, we can say it as smart home and personal connectivity. And this personal in-car monitors are also coming up now in driver assistance vehicle. So here the consumer market have the higher visibility with the smart homes and other kind of applications. So here the target audience, the consumer market, means here the target audience are going to use for their own personal application. The target, this particular target audience, if the target audiences are going to use the concept of IoT for their personal applications, then they are called, they will come under the consumer IoT. The example what I told you is here that using the smart watches and using the trying to build a smart home and trying to connect our appliances with the internet so that more security, more features, more automation could be done. All those things will come under the consumer IoT. Commercial IoT. So this is the commercial. So as I told you, the factors that are going to differentiate between all these vertical strategies is the target audience. First is the target audience, and the second is the technology. So first, let us be clear about the broad segmentation, and then we will go into the technical details. So the commercial market, as you know, the commercial marketing, the same IoT concept, if it is going to be applied such that it meets the banking, insurance, banking or financial or insurance, commercial related things or e-commerce, all those will come under commercial market. So here the target audience is audience is different, and when the target audiences are varying, the scalability also gets different. And the application, the technical background by which it has to be connected also gets different. Because if you want to control, you have to use different devices for getting connected with each other. If you want to have some kind of banking or some kind of web-based application, then the connectivity and management would be different. But this also comes under the IoT only. And enterprise IoT, when you talk about enterprise IoT, you are going to, it is related with small or medium or large kind of businesses. Now, out of all these 4 vertical strategies that have been classified so far, the highest vertical strategy, the highest one is the industrial IoT. Means the requirement of Internet of Things, so far it is like that. Because still, why this particular industrial IoT stands tallest is because still, though consumer IoT have a lot of features, have a lot of feasibility, but still the adoption of consumer IoT has not reached the momentum. It is still under development compared to the industrial IoT. Of course, e-bank, e-commerce, everything is going up, but still, out of all these 3, as per the current status, the industrial IoT has more importance as well as more significance in using the IoT concept because it relates with the economy. A country's GDP is based on the industry's productivity and their profit. So that is why the industries are having more focus to implement the concept of IoT so that their productivity is increased and also the cost of the product is getting decreased and the quality of the product, whatever the product it may be, the quality of the product or process is getting increased. Though it has though the industries know the advantages of it, but still if we see, even the industries are now in the stage of transformation only. So they have not completely adopted it. Still they are doing, because already the industries are developed with certain kind of infrastructure, which is which are suitable for the earlier execution of the processes. So they wanted to transform all these devices, all the existing devices, so that it meets the IIoT requirements. Means the network, IIoT means the assets are OT assets, and to the OT assets, IoT concepts are implemented into it. Means the OT assets should be capable of getting connected to the internet, and the behavior and the complete history of the assets are being monitored and controlled over the cloud application. For you have a lot of areas into that, like predictive maintenance, all those things. So basically, what are the industries that are highly interested in adopting IIoT here? Energy manufacturing, agriculture, healthcare, transportation, logistics, and you can say a lot of industries. So in the later part of the presentation, I will discuss about, I have shown you I have specified some of the industries here. So in what way, what are the initiatives that are taken by the industries to adopt this technology, we will see in the later part. Now, as I told you, it is not a new thing. That is like automation and control is existing for a long time. Like machine to machine technology, M2M technologies are existing industries. But what makes the difference between the M2M and IoT? Yes, in IIoT is the scalability. One point is the scalability of operations. And the next is why, when you are the operations are getting scalable, as well as I told you before, the insight of the assets could be enhanced by integration of all these assets with the IoT platform with the application of AI technology. So what is the benefit of this one is the business operational processes gets enhanced with because of the results that are obtained from the data analytics. How it gets enhanced is the results that are obtained from the analytics could be fed back to the processes again, like predictive maintenance, you can say. You cannot wait for the devices. You need not make the maintenance as a scheduled maintenance. Instead of only if there is any problem, then we can enter into the maintenance part. Or if there is any incipient abnormality also, then it could be sensed with the analytics that is being carried out. So why all these? So in what way all the, as I told you, the country's GDP is based on the industry's profit. So the business gain would be higher. How the business gain would be higher is because of the accelerated productivity, and also, as I told you, the maintenance, right? The unplanned downtime and other things could be avoided. So how it is being done is the data is taken to the cloud, where and one more benefit of taking the data to the cloud is when you are communicating the data, there may be transmission delay, but when the process is executing in cloud, it will execute the analytics that we execute. If the AI algorithms are executed in the cloud platform, then the speed of execution would be higher compared to the local systems. That is why that is where the concept of thin client, all those are coming into picture. And in technical terms, as I told you, you can take a lot of feedbacks and you can control the process with more accuracy and other things. So this is the common architecture. What that is being adopted, as I told you, is the OT and IT, where the devices are getting intelligent. And how it is getting intelligent is because of the placement of sensors and actuators. And this sensors and actuators helps in the monitoring and control with the decision assisted from the IT technology. To either, as I told you, on-premise like a cloud, the reason why we go for cloud is for higher speed of, execution speed of the analytics like deep learning or any machine learning algorithm, because if you want to study the behavior, then you have to collect the data continuously, and that particular data you need to have a large data set to analyze the behavior. So if you have to execute a large data set, then your computational platform should be of higher end. So the first stage where it gains importance is the acquisition. So based on the data, only if the data is correct, the control and analytics will end up in an accurate manner, in an efficient manner. So data acquisition is a significant part in industrial IoT. So does LabVIEW have this one? Obviously, LabVIEW is very famous for, NI platform is very famous for data acquisition. So this is what is the data acquisition, which involves the sensing the data of the systems at high accuracy and at higher sampling rate, and also executing that data in the and also taking that data. Here it is shown as the local system, but taking the data to the cloud and executing it there. So what IIoT, in what way NI has gone so far in IIoT is NI is focusing that. So we are talking about application of LabVIEW for IIoT. So if I tell you these use cases that is being adopted by NI, then you will be able to easily understand what are the features available in LabVIEW. So it will be very easy for you to grasp the features available in LabVIEW by understanding the use cases that are adopted by NI currently. So NI is doing some research in Industrial Internet of Things Laboratory. So this Industrial Internet of Things Laboratory, in this they focus on 3 features. One is they are developing systems to have industrial asset monitoring. As we know, as I told you, explained you in the previous slides, industrial assets are nothing but operational assets. Means the devices that are used in the industries to execute some kind of functioning. So the NI is doing some research in industrial asset monitoring. So how they did, so they are developing devices for data collection, and they are developing toolkit as well as they are trying to link with the cloud. So this is one aspect in which NI is working. So definitely they have the systems for collection, execution, they have the modules for analysis, and they have the modules for connecting with the cloud. And the next, and one more aspect in which NI is for, one more aspect to which NI is focusing is TSN flexible manufacturing. As I told you, when the devices are communicating, when the devices are getting networked with each other, definitely there will be a problem. There may be, you can say will be also. Definitely there will be a problem of jitter or delay, right? So so the research that is being focused by NI is the time-sensitive networking. So what is being focused in time-sensitive networking is to achieve low communication delay and jitter. So that why you need to achieve low communication delay and jitter is because if the application requires a closed loop control, or if there are some critical applications such as process or machine control, then there should not be any delay between the data that is being sensed and the actuation that is being given with the application of IA, if the IIoT, if the networking of devices is being adopted. So how the communication delay or jitter is minimized is by having higher band, by trying to maintain higher bandwidth, and also by trying to maintain a synchronized time for data exchange via the standard network infrastructure. So they are developing features that corresponds to TSN, time sensitive networking, where the objective is to minimize the delay and also to have higher bandwidth and to have synchronized time between the transmission, reception, and again transmission of the actuation signal. If this has to be implemented, to say it may be easy, to hear it may be easy, but we are talking about the concept of industrial IoT. When it comes to industries, you will have a lot of systems that are available in the industry. And as I told you, the industries need digital transformation because the industries have the pre-existing devices which are working on applications. So with the incorporation of IT technology into these devices, if we need to utilize the features of AI, and if we have to enhance the performance of the industries so that higher productivity and better maintenance could be done, then there needs to be a research that is to be done so that all the devices that are pre-existing in industries are working in the stipulated time frame, that is, are working under the time sensitive networking. I mean, are working under time sensitive networking. If that has to be done, different devices manufactured by different vendors should have interoperability. So this gives you a brief picture about this is the test setup what they have in their IIoT lab. So this test setup, because the existing infrastructure present in large scale industries or medium scale industries or small scale industries will have a portion of this test setup. So here, if you see this test setup, you have a lot of devices that are manufactured by Cisco, and you have like Bosch, and you have, these are all NI devices, like Schindler, and you have a lot of devices, and you have a lot of PLCs also manufactured by GE. You can see a lot of companies, because all of these are manufactured. Even Siemens is there, but Siemens, I think they haven't specified here. Probably they are working with that also. So here you have a lot of devices manufactured by different companies to execute some functionality. So all these devices should communicate with each other. Then only the data could be acquired from different kinds of devices, and some insights could be made, and the required necessary control or changes could be made on the system process execution. So the focus, so if the time sensitive networking is a very significant aspect that has to be taken care, if all these have to be achieved, that is what is the challenge now that is being faced in IIoT. So when we talk about the IIoT concept, this is one of the challenge. So here you can see the machine-to-machine coordinated motion, machine-to-machine coordinated I/O, and synchronized measurement of measurement and control, and synchronized time. Why all these are required is due to the discussed factors. Whatever I have told you, because of that, all these have to be considered. If any one of them is getting dropped, then it will not end up with the desired outcome. So networking should be there, and not only networking, there should be time sensitive networking, so that the data transmission and data reception happens in stipulated timeline. So this is an example for you, for having a better understanding. This is an example that is being shown here, but still even in this is also a part of the IIoT lab what they are maintaining. So here the objective is to control these two gears in a coordinated manner. Of course, here it is, since this is a test setup, the gears are placed in shorter distance. But if it is going to be an realistical, practical setup, then these two would be at different places. So here, the objective is to control these two gears in coordination with each other. So the position or the status of one gear should be measured, and that should be passed on to the device that is connected to the next gear, and the control should happen in a coordinated manner. So for this, if we see that accessories, the technologies, IT technologies, what are being introduced here is, you have, because we are talking about, like you can see the compact trio edge node. This is master node and this is your slave node, right? So these, the master node receives the gear's current position, and then it gives to the Cisco enabled, because the switches are made by different company, right? Because all the components are not made by a single company. Because as we know, in industries, we use different kind of, as I showed you before also, in industries, different kinds of devices manufactured by different vendors. Different vendors are being used. So this is a NI-based device, and the data sensed by this compact trio is given to the Cisco switch. So this Cisco switch has to transfer the data to the next Cisco switch at the other end, and through the communication line. And again, this Cisco switch should communicate the data to the slave compact trio node, which is again connected to the physical device. So this is your physical layer. This is your OT gear, right? So to this OT, data acquisition is done, and IT technologies is being used. Okay, fine. And being used here. Again, for data is communicated and that is being controlled. You have the industrial controller also here. Now, if you have to do this in a coordinated manner and if you have to do more analytics into it, how to observe these devices and how to observe these gears and how to give the control to the gear. So here they have given an image processing system also, that is a camera which is attached here, which captures the gear's position. You extend whatever that is being shown here, you extend to different locations, right? Conceptually, this is being adopted. To have a conceptual explanation, this is being said. So here you have a camera which captures the image of these two gears and it does the processing, and that also aids in the control of the second gear, slave gear, based on the master gear. So if you want to, if the image processing has to be done, then if image processing has to be done, location has to be synchronized, and the data communication has to take in a within the stipulated timeline. So if all this has to happen, then as I told you in the series 1, the design principles of IIoT has to be met. That is the interoperability, time-sensitive networking, and interoperable different devices community, and modularity. All these things have to be met, and the application of AI technologies. So this is an example of industrial IoT process execution. So which is also being carried out carried out in NI IIoT lab. Why I am telling us NI IIoT lab is they are also doing research still. They are also still doing research into it. So there is nothing completely built, right? So here, as I said, the image processing. So they have NI vision development module to do that image processing technique, image processing functions, algorithm, to implement image processing algorithm. They have this one. So the third case study, what they're trying to do is, I told you, right? The industrial IoT is based on, the industry is mainly related to transportation, energy production, and all those. I listed some industries, right? Healthcare, transportation, energy production, all those. So since the smart grids are coming up now, in NIIoT lab, they are focusing on microgrid control and communication also. So if you are from ECE, I think, I don't know whether from what department all of you belong to, but to tell about smart grid in a simple manner, generation is happening at the local end to meet the increasing demand for electricity. Because the consumers are getting increased, due to population and due to high-end devices that are being used. So there is a need for increased supply, but still there is no, we don't have much resources for that. Already we have reached the maximum installation of power plants, and as if we increase also, we'll have a lot of problems. Like in the nuclear reactor power plant, we had a lot of problems, but still it is not an easy task to keep on increasing the power plants. So an alternative for that is the smart grid. So there you have the communication between the consumer who are using electricity and the suppliers who are producing electricity, and also the development of microgrids. So the electrical energy is supplied at the local end, is generated at the local end using some kind of renewable resources like solar or wind, and the energy that is being generated would be given to the consumers locally. So there would be a need for micro control and communication. There is a need for data exchange between the consumers who are using electricity as well as who are generating electricity in microgrids. So what is being done? What is being when they focus microgrid control and communication with, so far whatever we have discussed so far, we should be able to understand that the interoperability should be maintained, because as I showed you the example for industrial assets, means the layout of the industrial architecture, application architecture with different devices. Here also you will have lot of generators, that is being lot of solar, different vendors will manufacture different solar panels and different wind turbines, and you will have different consumers available at different locations. There should be an exchange of the data between them. So when you talk about microgrid control and communication, you will have lot of there will be scalability. There should be the technology that is being adopted should meet the requirements of scalability as well as interoperability. As I told you, because different vendors would be produced. So when different vendors are producing different kind of devices, obviously the manner in which the data has to be exchanged depends on the protocols. So far NI is working with these kinds of devices. I mean, these what to say, these different vendors like HP. You can see, I think OPC UA we discussed in the last series also. I told you about how OPC UA will be useful for networking of devices, and like it is working with OP. In the example also I showed you about the Cisco and analog devices produce a lot of sensors, and Intel. So these are all the Spark Xilinx, FPGA based Xilinx. So they work in even industrial internet consortium because they wanted to make some standardization, because all these industries are involved. So they wanted to make some standardization of. So the reason why such kind of consortium, such kind of combined research is being executed is there needs to be a standardization in the implementation of IIoT. Different vendors are there and different platforms are there, different network connectivity possibilities are there. But when it has to be executed at a higher level as an industrial IoT, then there should be a common standards. If there is a common standard that is being developed for data exchange or like protocols, common standards, then implementation of IIoT during digital transformation will not be a big challenge for the industries. As I told you, the interconnection methods, networking of devices, different devices are connected. I told you, right? So the need for the common standard here. So the reason why they all are working is to develop a common standard. Why the common standard is required is because networking of another concept, another aspect I'm telling you, the networking of devices can happen either with wireless or wired internet connections. Wireless means you have GSM, GPRS, 3G, LTE. Wired means, of course, you have Profinet, industrial Ethernet protocols, Profinet like that Ethernet, Profinet, all those things. So there are different like wireless again, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, Zigbee are also there for local area. So there are different ways in which devices could be connected. So what is the common way? How to develop a common thing is a challenge, is being researched now. So when you talk about wireless networking for the device connectivity, these are the options that are available. So if LabVIEW is used for networking of devices available in industries, when you do the networking, when the networking is done in a short range, then it is possible only this with this kind of wireless technologies. So whether LabVIEW has the feature for supporting these protocols, it has or not, is a question that will answer you about the utilization of LabVIEW for IoT. So of course, it has Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, Zigbee. It has for some of the protocols here, it has. Even 3G and 4G networks also, they have some kind of. This is the overall picture I have given. Whatever LabVIEW supports, you have to choose that one. Though a lot of wireless technologies are there, these wireless technologies should be applied in the aspect of IIoT. That is very important. It is not the local range communication. As I told you, it is the networking of devices with the internet. So you have to consider, you have to evaluate the choice of the wireless technology based on these features. The range, the requirement of power and data throughput. As I told you, time sensitive networking is important, and standardization of a standard protocol is important, and range, because it is going to get connected over long range, and all the devices cannot connect over. That's why you have personal area, and that personal area will be connected to the wide area. So it should be of IP config. When you connect to the internet, through some technology, that technology should support the location of the device with some kind of IP address. So it should be IP configurable, what kind of IP it's going to support, whether it's IPv6 or IPv4, all these things have to be taken care of. So IoT platforms, when you come to IoT platforms, these are all the IoT platforms that are available right now. So basically, if someone is very good in programming of different, using different languages, then definitely it is not necessary that any toolkit should be available in any language, whether it's Python or LabVIEW. You can integrate if the platform allows. If the cloud platform allows, you can integrate any device with any cloud platform. But one thing is, either the edge. When you talk about LabVIEW, if the cloud platform doesn't support, I'm just telling you, if the cloud platform doesn't support LabVIEW, then if the edge device requires LabVIEW for data acquisition, then that particular device should be able to connect to the cloud platform through by integrating with the applications that are developed in different languages, like Python or something like that. So there are options. You have different protocols that supports interoperability. You should be able to program using such kind of protocols. Network like HTTP or all there. So these are all the IoT platforms that are generally used. Out of this, the mostly used IoT platform is your AWS IoT platform. It has a lot of features, and Google platform also, but AWS, Amazon Web Services, has reached its peak, let us say, compared to IBM Watson, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure also plays a good role. On ThinkSpeak and all, it's open. You can develop applications at the same time. For deployment, it will give different features, and when for development, it will give different features, and for deployment, it will give other different features. So if the LabVIEW application has to get connected with the IoT platform, then it should be able to support the protocols that are used for network connection. So the protocols that are generally adopted is MQTT, because it is not a web page communication, or it is not one thing. What makes an important role in IoT protocol is, it is not the general computer networking, but it is the networking of devices. So the devices will have mobility, and the devices will have continuous execution, may have continuous execution. So you will have a lot of devices more than the computers. The number of devices is going to be very huge. Even if you take an industry, you will have a lot of devices there, like sensors, actuators. If you take a particular system itself, you will have n number of sensors, actuators, and when you go for an huge industries, then you will have a lot of devices, lot of sensors, lot of things there. So, and the systems are all, when you talk about IoT, of course, when you talk about consumer IoT also, you will not have much data. Only the data traffic will be there due to high number of consumers. But as far as consumers utilization consumers operation is concerned, it will not be much. But when you go for industrial IoT, though the devices or infrastructure present in industries could be comparatively less than the consumers, but the operational time that the data of interest to be taken would be huge there. So you need to manage the network traffic. if you have higher number of consumers, or if you have to acquire high data rate, huge data at high rate data rate, then you have to manage the network traffic, you have to manage the storage, and you have to manage the network connectivity. Only if all these and time sensitive networking, that is what network traffic comes. So only if all these are matched, then only the objective of IIoT would be satisfied. Otherwise, there is no, otherwise, if those are not getting matched, then there is no need to adopt IIoT at all. So, one of the aspects that is being adopted, one of the aspects adopted to meet these requirements is the design of the protocol. So, compared to the normal existing protocol, of course, these protocols work on the existing transport layer. But still, when it comes to the application layer connection, application connection means the program connection, you will have difference there. So here the most widely used, right now the most widely used is MQTT, right? So whether LabVIEW has this feature or not, you have to understand. So OSI, I'll tell you at the last whether it has it. So when it comes for, as I told you, the networking of devices happens because of physical connection as well as application connection over the internet, to tell you in a simple way. So you should have the communication between the applications through physical media. So how that is being transported, I told you about the requirement of standardization, right? So you will have different kinds of layers that is executing this network of devices. And if there need for IoT, I told this is the standard OSI. For IoT, you cannot expect all these layers to be present. IoT or IoT. So there will be a change, because why means the reason why I told you about due to the presence of huge number of consumers, or due to the requirement of continuous data acquisition, or huge variety and volume of the data. In either case, the network connectivity is important, network bandwidth is important, and also the time sensitive communication is important. So you will have some modification in the existing OSI layer such that it will have changes in this aspect. So this is your current protocol that is used for your networking of computers, like computers, and networking of devices over Wi-Fi also, you can see. When it comes to IIoT, of course you will have wireless technology, networking, transport. As I told you, this application protocol will work on the transport, the same transport, but still the way in which the data exchange happens between the application will vary. So whether this option is available in NI LabVIEW or not, you have to ensure. So as I told you, the important characteristic is speed, latency, management of the speed, latency, power consumption, and security. All these are available with the examples with the RIO architecture and time sensitive networking, what I've told you before. So as I told you, MQTT and HTTP are being mostly adopted in IoT based applications. So when you go for the top use cases of IoT, you will have these are all the top use cases of IIoT. IIoT is mainly used for, so far, top use case. Beyond this also you have, but broadly you can classify for predictive maintenance, smart metering, asset tracking, connected vehicles, and fleet management. So quickly, if I want to say about, I told you about the requirements that have to be met in the earlier cases. In the earlier slides, I told you about the requirements for the implementation of IIoT. And how IIoT is being used in industries is for, the first categorization is for predictive maintenance. As I told you, predictive maintenance is the monitoring of the assets continuously, so that we could predict, we could diagnose any abnormality, and we could predict the occurrence of fault using analytics. So for this, you need to have large amount of sensory data. So that is possible. So this is the one which is being adopted. If you have some system OT, then data has to be acquired through serial programming or MyRio programming or in NI based MTEL. And the data has to be processed to remove the noises, means signal processing has to be done. And after to remove the noises, as well as so that to get the pure data, as well as to extract the feature of the signal corresponding to the physical. Suppose if you are measuring vibration, you have to take the frequency feature, something like that, statistical feature or frequency feature, so that you can correlate the condition of the particular physical variable of the system, and you can classify whether it is faulted or not faulted and what kinds of faults are there. So up to this part you would be clear. Up to this part. So here what I have shown you is this part could be done either in on-premise IT network or you can do it in cloud-based IT. But whether you should go for on-premise or cloud-based, we should be able to answer now with the explanation what we have seen so far. Obviously, on-premise IT is quite challenging because to understand analytics, you need to store data. To store the data, huge memory is required. And also, if you want to do the classification and if you want to execute AI algorithms, the speed of the processor should be at higher end, which would cost more if you are establishing the on-premise IT network. So this is not possible for medium and small scale industries, but when you go for MNCs, they would be able to do that. They would be maintaining their own cloud and they would offer the services to others also. And when you come for smart metering, as I told you, there should be a communication between the consumer and the supplier so that such that the prices could be adjusted. We have electricity that is being consumed. We all consume electricity and the billing will be done by the EB. So the challenge here is to supply electricity as per the demand without much power cut and without uninterrupted power cut. So one way is having the exchange between the consumer behavior and the supplier behavior. So during the peak demand time, unwanted loads could be switched off by the consumer. So if they do that, the prices would be adjusted. So in that way, the electric vehicles charging and again the electric transfer of energy from the electric vehicle to the utility and also switching the loads at the consumer end, all these will be taken care in the smart metering. Asset tracking. This asset tracking is being followed, means IBM, Bosch, GE, Intel, National Trim, and PTC, they launched a test bed. As I told you, they together have launched a test bed to collect the asset information, to see how to collect the asset information efficiently, and also to track, to implementation of analytics so that the decision could be made. Asset tracking is also a part of the maintenance, like you can locate. Asset tracking is tracking of the assets. When the assets are in mobility, you can locate about mobility, or it is in the supply chain. You can locate and you can find the status of the asset. What is the reserve level and what is the location? It depends on the application, right? What is the reserve level? What is the application? How to maintain? All these things are also being experimented right now. So to say about asset tracking, I give an example of maritime shipping, where you will have the sensors placed in the ship. That would be when the ship is sailing, and the details of the ship, the details of the Means why do we go for maritime shipping is for cargo and all we do it. So when we do for food product cargoes and all, it has to be maintained. The product has to be maintained at some desired temperature. It may be a refrigerator. Example here I have given as refrigerator, but it could be of anything. Even it could be of kind of like it need not be a refrigerator. It could be of something else also. So here the the concept is the temperature maintenance of the products. So the temperature maintenance is how the temperature maintenance is done as when the ship is moving, with the sensors located there will also, along with the location of the ship, they would also transmit the status of the refrigerators, status of the temperature in the containers, so that they could be monitored continuously. Why it has to be done is unless the temperature is maintained constant, the product outcome, the quality of the product will not be good. So in this way, for asset tracking it is done, and in connected vehicles also what they do is, you have normally earlier in transportation we have vehicles. Now it has gone into the autonomous vehicle, automatic guided vehicles, where what is done is, here I will tell you, like in connected vehicles, you will have even the object like a vehicle path, even the path of the, if in autonomous vehicle, the path of the vehicle will be decided by the vehicle by monitoring the white lines that is placed on the roads, so that it will decide the lane in which it will go. So it captures the image of the line, image of that white lines that are marked, and then it captures the image, and it selects the region of interest, and then it will select the path. So localization is also there. Localization is possible with the GPS connected sensors, and also with knowing it has to have GPS data transmission, and also it should be able to identify, suppose if it is a guided vehicle, autonomous vehicle, then what it has to do is it has to sense the vehicle that is coming in front, sense the sense the object, any object or vehicle that is coming in front of it. So it needs to capture the image. It could be done either through proximity, image processing. A lot of things are there. A lot of things are being explored right now. So camera should be able to capture the image, do the image processing, identify the number plate that the vehicle is there, or it should use some kind of proximity and identify that there are devices or some obstruction in the road. So that this is the way in which this is one of the aspects that is being adopted in connected vehicles. So why it is being, there are pros and cons, but as per the experts' statement, it is said that the accidents could be avoided with the connected vehicles using the IT technology there. Accidents could be avoided in a better manner, they give the statement. Because they say that because of this technology, the vehicles would be responding faster than a human. That is what is their statement. Even there would be some delay for the human to respond when they see some kind of obstruction or something, so that the accident could not be prevented. So they say that the humans, even they respond little slowly when compared to the automatic response given by the cars. So you have so there are some kind of other things also, as I told you, like radars, like proximity sensors. You will have radars, lasers that are installed in the vehicle, so that they will be able to understand the environmental condition in which the vehicle is moving.
Excuse me, madam.
Yes, sir.
Madam, last 10 more minutes.
Sure, sir.
Okay.
So in fleet management also, they do this one. Like, as I told you in asset tracking, in fleet management, they try to minimize the risk associated with the vehicle, overall transportation, let us say. Because vehicle investment, improving efficiency and product are all common thing. When it comes to fleet management, they try to reduce the overall transportation risks by giving online information to the drivers. Example, as I give in maritime shipping, this fleet management could be placed, the same kind of thing could be shifted to transportation. So this is what, if you see this one, the application of fleet management is, one application is giving the information to the trash collectors, garbage collectors, so that they would be able to understand the efficient routes, and also they would be able to, of course, when you find out the efficient route, obviously there would be a minimization of the cost, fuel cost and all. So the IT technologies that are being focused for analytics is AI. So AI has two components, that is machine learning and deep learning. It depends on the type of problem that is being adopted. So lab, as I gave you these examples, the reason why I gave you these examples are, as and when the examples are told, we would be able to grasp the technical functionality and application functionality behind it. So what we understood from so far, what we should have understood so far from these examples of your smart metering, predictive maintenance, smart metering, asset tracking, and connected vehicles, and fleet management is different type of data communication and different type of data analytics for application requirements. That's it. Different type of application falls based on the different kind of industry, like maintenance, management, asset tracking, all those kind of vehicle transportation kind of industries, and different analytics is based on the type of application. Temperature management requires different kind of analytics, and path selection by the autonomous vehicles or for accident prevention, it requires different kind of analytics. It requires image data, and temperature management doesn't require image data, right? So, so different kind of analytics and different kind of communication methodology will decide the type of technique to be chosen, as well as the type of devices have to be, software platform that has to be used, and the devices configuration. So overall, we can have the integrated solution based on whatever be the devices, whatever be the systems. You can have in two kinds of ways, that is supervised fault detection, any fault, supervised or unsupervised. So here you can have either diagnosis or prediction model. When you go for IIoT, it is done to improve the productivity for having more network of objects, industrial OT, industrial assets, to diagnose about it and to predict its condition. So that is done, either you can take from the SCADA data, which is already available, but SCADA data, since the SCADA data for online continuous monitoring, the volume of the SCADA data required will not be sufficient, and you cannot, in the on-premise, you cannot store a lot of data, so it has to be taken to the cloud. So as I told you, the design principles should meet all these things: interoperability, virtualization, decentralization, real-time, time-sensitive networking, and offering of services via cloud. Cloud offers software as a service, infrastructure as a service, like the cloud offers different kinds of, and platform as a service. So in LabVIEW, you have OPC systems existing, I'm telling. In LabVIEW, you have OPC systems, where you will have OPC systems, and also you will have, like, OPC is also a part of which is able to connect PLCs and automation controllers. LabVIEW you have data logging and supervisory control toolkit to log the data for real-time visualization and managing alarms and networking of targets. And you have data dashboard option, which I showed you in the last series also. And basically LabVIEW will do all these things. Data will, like LabVIEW has the features for implementing data acquisition, processing and instrumentation control using G programming. And now for IIoT, it should have networking of instruments also. So networking means it is not the normal networking, but it should have the capability to integrate with the internet. So LabVIEW so far is being used for automated data systems, all these things. When it goes for IIoT, when this is being taken in the aspect of industrial Internet of Things, then this automated test systems will have IT technology enabled so that the data could be automated data test system where, without going in the on-premise, it will go to the cloud. Automatically, it will take the data and do the test systems. So in that way, the existing LabVIEW application could be gets enhanced with the availability of IIoT concepts. So if it has to meet the IIoT, then computation has to be done, connectivity has to be done, and control has to be done. Computation involves thinking and analytics and decision making, and connectivity, data connectivity and control. So LabVIEW has these features: computation, connectivity, and then computation. Under computation, it is able to perform real-time analytics and also analytics based on AI. And connectivity, it has a lot of network interfaces that are supporting industrial networking, like Profinet, Ethernet, it has the support for that. And the toolkits, as such, LabVIEW doesn't endorse any kind of cloud platform, but still they have some third-party toolkits that are developed for connecting with the Amazon Web Services. LabVIEW Cloud Toolkit for AWS, as I told you, Amazon Web Services are becoming the pioneers, along with, of course, Microsoft Azure is also there, but they are having more features for this cloud development, cloud-based application development. And Bluemix also, they have some kind of third-party tool like IoT Cloud Connector for LabVIEW. AT-Plan has it. So the Bluemix Cloud could be connected with the LabVIEW application using the protocol, using the this third-party tool, which would be working on the protocols, as I told you, the IoT protocols, like which would enable someone to develop application based on the IoT protocols, that is MQTT and other things. So LabVIEW has data communication VIs and functions like data. As I told you, networking of devices is important. So these are all the data communication VIs and functions are available, which one could explore how to do that. Like shared variable, OPC protocols that supports TCP, UDP, Bluetooth, SMTP. As I told you, the wireless, how the devices get connected with each other, it depends on the wireless also and wired also, serial, and the protocols under which it is going to communicate. And these things we have discussed already about OBC and other things. Modbus is also a kind of connectivity. So data sockets they have. So you can go through in detail about all these things. You want to develop IIoT based application using LabVIEW. So currently they are doing the research in this aspect in their lab to meet the interoperability, time sensitive networking, which is a unique feature, what we can say. Thank you one and all. If you have any doubts, you can please open your questions. You can please open up with your questions so that we can have some kind of information exchange. I'm stopping sharing the contents. I request the participants, if you have any doubt, you can ask some questions to me, or you can put it in chat box also. Any doubts? Participants are able to hear me?
Yeah, it's audible, ma'am. It's clearly
Yeah.
audible.
Generally, if there are any, no doubts also. Generally, if you have any view about IIoT, you can just open up so that we can come out with some kind of ideas for your application. Suppose you might have had some application in mind and how to bring it into the umbrella of IIoT, something like that. Or if you are going to do any research in IIoT, what is the problem that you are going to focus there? So basically, whatever I have told you, it falls under these categories only. Like IoT technology platform and the target audience and the technical details behind it. Target audience will decide the number of consumers or number of devices also, you can say. Here there is no concept of consumer at all. Here everything, even a consumer will become a device. That's it. For an intelligent device, that's all. And networking and then analytics. So if you want to use LabVIEW for all these things, as I told you, image processing toolkits are there, signal processing toolkits are there, high-end Rio architectures are there, so which are capable of networking, doing analytics. To some extent, you can do in on-premise, but definitely when you go for IIoT, it's not going to be a single system, it's going to be a multiple scalable systems. So you can have something like that. And it depends on the application. I gave you some applications based on which the industries are working currently and the research is going on. But when you go for implementation, these are all the challenges. Delay and accuracy of the analytics results, these are all the challenges. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity and to discuss with you about some kind of upcoming technologies. And probably one thing what I am not like, what I couldn't do is to show any demo here because it needs a lot of devices and showing in the screen it's not possible. But I gave you some features that are available there. You please try to explore. And if you have any doubts, you can always put me a mail to my email ID. It's available in my website, in our website, IIT Nagaland website. Thank you, one and all.
Yeah.
And,
Thank you very much, ma'am. It was a very nice presentation from you and very informative also.
Thank you, sir. So if you have got something, that is the purpose of the FDP, I guess. So
Yeah.
we should, when we go out, we should learn at least some kind of research point there.
Yeah, yes,
so that
yes,
we
ma'am.
can carry to the students.
Even
Thank
it
you
is
very
very
much, sir.
informative. Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you
sir.
very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, okay. Dear participants, so here we are winding up with this session and the session 2 will start at 11:30. Thank you, everyone.